Awesome. Well, honestly, I think the next thing is to just kind of learn about you. Who are you?
Yeah.
Where'd you come from? Why are you here?
Yeah. So I'm from New York, born and raised in New York.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I lived there all my life. I grew up, in a very diverse environment, uh, and I had a very full life as a child. I grew up in like a lot of hip hop culture around music. Being young, I went to a lot of concerts. I met a lot of celebrities and artists. I was really outside a lot, very
Mm-hmm.
social. My dad really brought me everywhere with him. I did
Mm.
everything with my dad. Um, you know, I kind of lived this lifestyle, like this extravagant, like lifestyle for a short period of time before my father went to prison. So my father went to prison for 20 years when I was 8 years old. He just recently got out of prison. So during that time, like my life was very rough. I then started living with my mother's side of the family.
Yeah.
And, I traveled a lot. I spent a lot of time in Florida. I spent a lot of time in California. I went to high school in California for 1 year. So I did a lot of traveling in the States when I was younger. I got to see a lot of, different environments. And I
Mm-hmm.
was able to make a lot of connections, make a lot of, meet a lot of people and see different ways of living. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this very much inspired me as far as wanting to leave the States and seeing what is outside of what we know. So
Yeah.
for me, that's kind of how I ended up outside of the States. But yeah, my background really is just mostly in music and arts and creative. I've
Mm-hmm.
always been into design. I've always been into everything creative, from music to modeling to photography, directing,
Mm-hmm.
writing. Writing has always been my biggest passion. So that's a little bit more about like what I like to do, and how I got here today. I have a background in finance.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I worked in finance for like the past 6 years. So, I'm a numbers guy. I really, I really very much about making strategic investments and help guiding people to make strategic investments and to utilize their money in the best possible way and diversify their portfolios. So I do a lot of wealth management.
Mm-hmm.
I provide people with capital, whether they're from the States or global citizens. So I help people get capital to make investments, and then I also
Mm-hmm.
help them with the money that they have so that they can make the right investments. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much that as far as my background, how I got into real estate, how I got here in Bali. I always
Yeah.
wanted to leave the States. I always wanted to live in Ghana, Africa. I wanted to move to Africa my whole life. Um, and, I ended up here in Bali because I didn't think I was necessarily ready. I still had
Yeah.
more development to do. I also didn't have my full plan figured out. So, coming
Mm-hmm.
to Bali was like my waiting room. I had to come here to, figure things out and allow myself to recalibrate, reset, and elevate my way of thinking and finding myself at a deeper level, at a more
Yeah.
spiritual, energetic frequency level. And through that, I got this clarity, especially when it comes to work, when it comes to business and everything that I'm doing now. And my
Mm-hmm.
goals and my purpose became a lot more clear to me. So, I got into real estate when I first got here because I was already studying real estate in the African market. And that's what pushed me to get into real estate. And I'm just a person who tries everything. So real estate was one of the last things on my list. So I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what, let me get into this. I'm already a finance guy and I also do sales. So,
Mm-hmm.
and, I'm into design. So real estate offers a lot of avenues for me to express my creativity and my expertise. So that's how I ended up in real estate. That's how I ended up in Bali. And my
Mm-hmm.
goals moving forward is to move to Ghana after this project is complete, and reinvest into the community there, build a community center, start a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Even with this project, I'm going to take 10% of the my profit share of the entire project and
Mm-hmm.
give it to a community in Cameroon, which is ran by the princess. Um, and also we now collaborated with another prince from
Mm-hmm.
Cameroon. So we're doing a lot of giving back, a lot of giving back to communities, building infrastructure and foundation, not just here in Bali, but also in Africa back home. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like my purpose, my goals, how I got here, and why you should work with us, right? So because when you
Yeah.
work with us, I'm somebody who's very forward thinking. So I'm looking to help others, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not just for self. I'm not materialistic. I'm not going to take all my profit from this project and go buy a Lamborghini, which I easily could with this, with how big this project is. But I
Mm-hmm.
want to build infrastructure. I want to give back. I want to help kids. I want to be a mentor, be an example to show people that this is possible, and very much inspired also by like people like Nipsey Hussle and people who, came into the community from like the culture side and turned into moguls, right? And turned into actually turning that, that power that we have, right, as a culture and making it into something that actually lasts beyond, the now.
Yeah.
So I think that's the best way to sum everything up.
Yeah. We were talking about your spiritual journey. I feel like a lot of people who are interested in Bali are on some type of spiritual journey.
Yes.
Can you dive in just a little bit on, maybe what brought you here spiritually and maybe what other people are possibly feeling that you've encountered as well, and how real estate is a part of that.
Yeah. So there's a lot to say when it comes to the spiritual side of things. When it comes to Bali, it's a very spiritual place. The energy here is very heightened. Manifestation is much more powerful. Like I said, I've only been here for 1.5 years, almost 2 years now, and I'm already developing 30 villas here in Nusa Dua. So you can use me as a testimony and as an example to what's possible here.
I've only been here 10 days, and here we are too. So.
Exactly. So, it's very powerful here if you're looking to, come across these opportunities and be able to develop yourself at a faster pace. And a reason why that, if you know a little bit about like the planetary grid, the ley lines here in Bali are very strong. There's multiple ley lines that run through Bali. And what this does is it creates a specific energetic frequency that is very unique, that provides this level of amplification. Right. And when it comes to manifestation, when it comes to karma, when it comes to spiritual journey, right? Like, so there's special places like this in the world, and Bali is actually one of those special places from a planetary grid aspect. So I think that's a big reason why that's like that. And obviously it's an island, it's surrounded by mountains and volcanoes, and it's just a natural hub and a place where just in the world, it's just a very special, sacred place.
Yeah.
The people here are very spiritual. They practice a lot of different practices, and they're very kind. The atmosphere is, the hospitality here is out of this world. I don't think there's any place in the rest of the world that
contagious.
This hospitality, you come here and this energy, it just it drives through you, like it fuels you to want to be more happier. Like it just really amplifies your peace, right? Even if you don't have peace, you come here, you'll feel crazy to not be peaceful, because it's just everybody's always smiling, everybody's always being nice, everybody's kind. So it's a great place to heal. If you've grown up in a rough environment, or if you had a traumatic past, this is a great place to come to recenter, to realign, and to connect with people. It's also a very great place to make connections and network. Obviously, as you can see, we've networked, and I've networked to get to this position. So so much opportunity here on both sides, and that's how the business and the spiritual sides connect. Through the process of you healing, you also get to develop, make connections, and also be able to provide value, not just to you and your community, but also this community and the locals here. You have a lot of opportunity to help the locals. If you want to build a villa here, you gotta have to hire locals, right? So you actually are able to pour back into the community, and that type of money goes a long way here for the locals. So whatever you're paying them, trust me, you're making a significant impact in their lives. Just by being a part of a project like this, you help a lot of people more than you think. So
it's not just you're not just buying real estate. It's almost a healing center for visitors that are coming to stay at your villa once you purchase it. And it's a healing center for you too, because once you get here, like you mentioned, this whole environment is contagious.
That's the exact word.
The frequency around you, it's just higher vibration. You can physically feel it.
It's so powerful.
So we just welcome you to learn more. If you have any questions, how can they contact you?
So you guys can contact me on Instagram. My Instagram name is Keefe Carter. So you can contact me there. Just, shoot me your name, whatever questions you guys have. Let me know where you guys are coming from. So, I can promptly respond. You guys can contact me there. You can also check out my website, internationalplaymakers.com.
It will all be in the description.
Yes.
For you all. Last parting words. What would you say?
I would just say, if you're interested in coming to Bali, or you're interested in investing, it's a great idea. Do your due diligence. learn why Bali is the number one rental income capital in the world, and learn why it's one of the most visited places in the world. Right. So whether you're coming here just to have a spiritual experience or you're coming to make an investment, this is one of the best places you could do both in. So just imagine that you can have best of both worlds.
Mic drop. Okay, bye.
Bye bye.
Well, that is the process of only one particular project. That's one example. Every situation will be different, but in this situation, it's always good to have structure in place so that you are protected. If you want more breakdowns like this, continue to follow the journey because that's what I'm here for. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started because I'm really grateful for everyone that is here already. You were meant to be here. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna do a quick introduction and then let Michael take it away. Okay, so our speaker today is Michael Haynes, globally known as the international playmaker, makes some deals all over the world. Michael is a visionary strategist and entrepreneur who builds hands-free, high-yield real estate systems across global markets, from Bali to Dubai, Miami to Ghana. Through Global Network Enterprise, he helps investors create passive income, leverage global networks, and scale without being on the ground. Today, he's breaking down how airdrop global real estate works, why Bali is a standout market, and how to build reputable systems that turn introductions into income. All right. I do want to add some more sauce to that. I met Michael in Bali, and he just has such a kind heart. Very open and willing to help anyone who actually wants it. So, as long as you want it, he is open to help you. These days, I believe in doing business and networking with those who have good energy, and this man has that. So I'm just really excited for you to introduce him to you all. This man is going to shake things up in such a positive way in this world for the Black community and community in general. So I look forward to you all listening to him and pulling whatever knowledge you want out of him. If you're not following him, please follow him at his IG that I'll put in the chat. And honestly, just follow his journey. He's going places. All right. So, Michael, please take it away. I will
Thank,
give you sharing. You can share,
thank you so
and
much,
you can
Joe.
do whatever introduction you would like. You're
I,
welcome.
I appreciate that introduction. Means a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, yeah, me and Joy met here in Bali, so that was great. We were able to connect through mutual networks. So, yeah, just about myself. From born and raised in New York. I spent a lot of time in the States. I just recently left 2 years ago, so now this is my second year in Bali. So I've been living here in Bali, and with plans to move to Ghana, get my citizenship. So yeah, that's pretty much like how I got overseas. That's how I got into global real estate. I never was into real estate. I have a finance background, so I actually was working in finance as a financial advisor, doing financial services, and also business development. So my background is very vast, but essentially, dual citizenship. Yes, correct. Yeah, the goal is to get dual citizenship in Ghana. I still want to hold on to my U.S. passport because there's still benefits to having U.S. passport. Especially the financial system, right? So that's pretty much what I preach. Is being able to live abroad and be able to still have access to the financial system in the U.S. because obviously there's no other financial system like it. The U.S. might not be the best place politically, but when it comes to building businesses and getting capital, it's probably the only place you'll be able to do that. So yeah, that's pretty much it about me. Like I said, I got into global real estate coming here to Bali and was introduced to the game here by a mentor. And from that point forward, I just locked in. And prior to that, I was learning about the Ghanaian market. So that's really my interest. That's how I got piqued into real estate, was that I wanted to move to Ghana and I wanted to build my own home there. So I'm like, if I'm going to build a home, I need to learn everything about real estate. I'm not just going to build a home and not know anything. So that's really how I got into real estate. I wasn't planning to be a sales agent or start an agency or even start developing on a mass scale. But that's what ended up happening. I ended up getting into it and getting into sales, started working for a couple of agencies, a couple of developers with the goal to eventually start developing my own projects, whether that be for personal use or for business, and also starting an agency. So, my company, Global Network Enterprise, we're basically like we're vertically integrated. So we have a finance department, a business development department, and a real estate department. And we also do education, consultation, a lot of stuff. So we vertically integrate all these things. So we're able to help someone from start to finish. So if you need capital to invest into real estate or to invest into your business, and then you need consultation and guidance within those processes, we help throughout that whole process from start to finish. So that's basically the scope of our business and what we do and how we help people, right? So let me share my screen. Yeah, let me get into my presentation. Content only, background, shoulder. Okay, I do it like this. Okay, right, sure.
You all were so amazing yesterday. Please keep that same energy up. Drop those questions in the chat. I know Shayla and
Yeah.
Kenny, y'all got me. And please, it was so good yesterday. Feel free.
Yeah, that was amazing. I was there yesterday, so I was able to see all that. But yeah, if you guys have any questions while I'm going through this presentation, feel free to feel free to interject. I want it to be open, just like kind of how like yesterday went. I really like the way that the structure was set, so we could stick with that. So yeah, whatever question you guys have, just share it, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, so global real estate, right? So global real estate is something that is very, very popular right now. It's really and the main reasons is because of what's going on in the States, right? So from like a political and a financial standpoint, it's just understanding, where the market is going first off in US. And I think, Joy was able to explain a lot of that yesterday. And just understanding inflation and the dollar, right? So at the end of the day, all of these assets are based around the dollar. We're investing with our dollars, the US dollar. And the dollar right now is just not worth anything. From where it was, I could actually pull this up right here. From where it was to where it is now, it just doesn't make any sense, right? So we'll take a look at this inflation chart, right? And this will show you from 1910 to two, you could see how inflation has been rising, right? So this is 2000 plus percent inflation. Like that, these numbers are insane. Like this doesn't even make any sense. Like if you look at this, it's just confusing. It's like, how is this even possible, right? And the reason why this happened is because they just print money. Like they just keep printing, 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 printing. It's like never ending. And they're just giving out money, trillions of dollars here, trillions of dollars there. They're inflating the money. They're devaluing the dollar, right? So what that means for the everyday citizen in America is that whatever assets you have that are basically backed by the dollar, right? Because they're all in the States, they're technically not worth anything, right? So it's kind of pointless to be investing in US dollars or anything assets that you sell for US dollars. Like it really makes no sense. So you want to be able to diversify your portfolio, right? I'm not saying don't own a house in the States. Like if you want to live in the States, own a house in the States, that's fine. If you want to invest there, that's fine as well. Just understand that, these numbers are going to continue to rise. They're not going to drop anytime soon. Like you see how from 1910, slowly but surely, it went up and down, went up and down, went up and down. But soon as the 1970 hit, and the reason why you see the spike here where the red arrow is, the reason why you see this major spike up in inflation is because this is when the gold standard was removed, right? So this is when gold was no longer backing the dollar. And once that happened, it skyrocketed up, right? So that's really the main reason. There's a bunch of reasons why that happened, but that's the primary reason. So this is not going to change anytime soon, especially with everything that's going on today in today's society. So just keep that in mind, like moving forward throughout the whole process, understanding why global real estate is so important. And that's the main reason why, right? So if we're in places like Bali, right, I'm kind of skipping through this, but I kind of just want to set the frame with the the framing of it, right? Because if you look at this right here, reliable currency, right? So the Indonesian rupiah lost only 1% against the dollar in 2024, right? So the inflation rate for the Indonesian rupiah, which is Bali, right? Bali is inside of Indonesia, it's 2%, right? It's 2% inflation rate versus what we just looked at right here, right? In 2022 is 2,000% inflation. So you see the difference 2%, 2,000%, like that's just that alone, like those numbers alone should just give you the perspective to understand why this is so important and why it's so popular right now and why so many people, smart investors, are putting their money overseas, right, in these different countries because it's really based on the inflation rate and the stability of the currency, right? So if I invest say if I have $1 million sitting in the bank account and I invest it overseas, I know that that $1 million is going to stay $1 million. It's not going to depreciate, right? The value is not going to drop. It's going to stay stable. So I know that my money is safe and secure. Versus if I have $1 million in a U.S. bank account or in a U.S. asset, the value of that is going to decrease every year. It's going to keep decreasing. You see how much this has increased, right? So that's the main purpose, right? The main and most important factor to all of this to understand is the stability of the currency and the value of the assets, right? So I just wanted to set that tone first so you guys can have an understanding of why people are getting into this. Why is it so popular? Why do you keep hearing about it, right? This is the main reason why. Obviously, global real estate, this is actually a property here in Bali. Obviously, it's beautiful. Obviously, people want to come here because it's amazing. Bali is great energy, great people, great culture, and all these other countries as well. They're all great places. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that you guys understand that investing is not about it's not about lifestyle. It's not about the looks, the glamour, the hype. It's about the actual facts, right? The numbers, the logic, right? Of course, you get both best of both worlds, but you want to have the mindset to understand that okay, why are the real investors, the people with real money and know what they're actually doing, why are they doing this? So now you guys know. Now you guys understand why that is, right? So I think I kind of already went through a little bit about who I am. I own a company called Global Network Enterprise. We actually are a cross-border platform connecting investors to off-plan real estate development opportunities across international markets. I coined the term airdropping real estate, which I'll get into a little bit and explain to you guys what that means. And it's basically just a systemized approach that makes global property ownership possible without physical presence or operational burden, right? So that's the most important factor of that is, if you're from the States and you're investing in, let's just say Bali is more than 24-hour flight away from the States. So if you're investing into a property for investment purposes and you're renting it out, right? Obviously, if there's issues with the property or there's certain things as far as operational stuff, it's going to be difficult for you to manage that, right? You're not just going to be able to get on a flight and just come to Bali and try to fix something in your property, right? Like it's going to cost you a lot of money traveling there and back, a lot of time that you probably don't have necessarily. So that's what airdropping real estate solves, right? That's the problem that it solves. It basically is a system where all of that is done for you from start to finish, right? So I think we could just go into that, right? So the old assumption is that real estate requires presence, right? So that's how we understand real estate. That's how I understood real estate. I didn't understand this until I left the States, right? So like I said, I was never in real estate before, but I had a good general understanding of real estate. I'm very knowledgeable about different topics, but I wasn't a real estate specialist or an expert or anything like that. But my understanding of real estate was that, okay, real estate requires you to be there. It requires you to be there, to do things, to be on top of things, and you have to manage it. If you have an asset, you have to manage it. So Yeah, most investors believe that they have to be physically present to control risk, manage projects, and protect returns, right? So the new reality, right, with airdropping real estate is that systems replace presence. So today, professional teams and systems handle execution, allowing investors to own property without being on the ground. So that's exactly what airdropping real estate does, right? You, the investor, all you have to do is be the investor, right? So this allows this to be a 100% hands-free investment for you. You literally don't really have to do anything, much of anything. All you have to do is obviously have the money and have the right team to be able to handle this process for you, which our team takes care of. So we handle the legal setup, whether you're building or you're acquiring. So whether you want to source your own land and build a property yourself, or you just want to work with someone who's already developing these projects, right? So we have um, a database of top developers in all different countries, in Bali, in Africa, in Dubai. Those are our main three areas, but we're pretty much everywhere. We have properties and developer relationships everywhere. So we can acquire these properties for you, or we can help you build them if that's your desire, right? And then the management aspect, which is the most important part, because if you're living in the States and you're buying overseas, who's going to manage your property, right? Like obviously you're not going to, it's you can manage a property, but why would you want to manage a property that's 24 plus hours away from you? Like that doesn't really make any sense. So you would want to be able to work with professionals who are already have the experience in those markets to handle this whole process for you, right? And then the cash flow and reports. So basically, you just sit back and just collect cash, right? The whole thing is run for you. So that's airdropping real estate. Airdropping real estate is being able to make these investments from start to finish and not have to do anything. The only thing you have to do is put up the money. From there, everything else is taken care of for you for the lifetime of the property. So if you own this property, so I'm not going to get into like all the leasehold and freehold stuff yet. I don't think it's that necessary. I think it's more so what's important right now is for you guys to just understand the system, right? Because the system is what's going to give you the freedom that you desire, right? Yeah, you don't want to put your money into something and then it turn into a job, right? You want a business, you want an asset, you don't want a job. You don't want to have to work to make this money. This money should work for you. So that's exactly what this is, right? So again, I'll just briefly go through that again, just so you guys have a better understanding. So as an investor, if you guys wanted to invest in global real estate today, you just would need the money, right? Which is a lot cheaper in these countries than it is in the States, right? So you get lower barrier to entry. The legal setup and the legal side of things is handled by our teams, professional teams, whether that be lawyers, notaries, pretty much everything legal is covered. You guys don't have to worry about nothing. All you have to do is just sign paperwork, and then obviously do your own due diligence. We provide the due diligence, but obviously any investor or any person will always tell you to do your own due diligence, basically just doing your own research to verify that the documents are correct and all the information is right. As an investor, that's just something you always have to do no matter what. And then building and acquiring. So again, like if you want to build, we can help you build. If not, we can help you acquire projects that are already set up, right? So it's less stress. Like you want less stress. You don't want to go into this and turn it into a job, right? And then in management, we work with professional property management companies that have track records. So they already have X amount of villas or properties under management with X results, right? So we can pick and choose like, okay, this is the best property management company that will get us the best returns without any headaches or without any issues, right? And then the cash flow reports, like again, all you would need is a bank account in that country. So if you're investing into Bali, you would just need to set up a bank account, which we help you do, and to receive the cash, whether that's monthly, whether that's quarterly, whether that's annually, however you choose to set it up. And just, I want to tell you guys something so beautiful about this as well. And my favorite part of this entire thing is that with the property management, everything is included. So operational costs, taxes, everything that you could think of that would cost you to run this business per se is included in a property management fee. So they cover everything so that you literally don't have to worry about nothing. So I think that's the biggest selling point for global real estate is that that's already ingrained into the system. It's not something that you have to go out and find or go out and figure out. It's already a part of the entire system. That's how all of the developers here already operate. So it gives you a lot of freedom. It gives you a lot of, it removes all your headaches. And then also, as far as the cash, the investment part, they accept all types of forms of payment. So you can pay in cryptocurrency. Uh, you could pay, it's literally, you could pay in anything, cash, cryptocurrency, bank transfer, whatever it is. And they don't ask you for income verifications, bank statements, tax returns. You won't have to deal with any of that in global real estate. So that, I think those are like the biggest selling points just for you guys to understand. But hold on, let me make sure that I'm checking the chat because I don't want to miss anybody's questions. If there is any, I think. Yeah, Joy, if I close my chat, I can't seem to find it. If you see any questions in there, can you just call them out to me? So yeah, so this, what I want to show you guys next, right, is this is my platform that I've been building for the past few months. So this platform is going to make your lives even 10 times easier, right? It's already easy. But with this platform, this is what's going to change the game, right? Because in this platform, it's like, yeah, go ahead, Joy.
There was two questions. I think one from the beginning, Shayla was asking about would you be getting dual citizenship or not, with America, or are you surrendering your American citizenship? And then the other question was the income collected at these overseas properties, do they need to be reported? Correct, like yes or no, far as the U.S. taxes.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely needs to be reported. You always want to report your income no matter where you are. But there's ways to set up offshore, to where you still have to report no matter what. At the end of the day, especially in the States, they're very strict about the IRS is very strict about that type of stuff. So if you're a US citizen, you have to report your income no matter where it's coming from. But like I'm not going to go deeply into the taxes and stuff like that, but certain countries don't allow double taxation so that you can't get taxed twice. And I know that there's a rule if you're an expat that if you don't make over $120,000 a year, then you don't really have to pay any taxes. So yeah, that depends. There's a lot of stipulations regarding that. And for the other question, I think I answered already. Yeah, dual citizenship. So like I said, I'm not giving up my U.S. passport just yet. Possibly in the future, I might. But as of right now, I don't really see the benefit in giving that up due to, like I said, access to the U.S. financial system. But so going back into this platform, right? So this platform basically puts all of those properties that we have available in all the different countries, and it breaks down all of the numbers and the insights, right? So you can go on this platform. It's like Airbnb, but for investors. So instead of going on Airbnb looking for properties to rent, you actually can go on this platform and see properties to invest in, and then have all the details as far as the ROI, right? The return of investment, how much money you'll be making, how much money you would need to put down, the payback period, how long it's going to take for you to make your money back, the down payment, and you'll be able to compare properties with one another, right? To be able to see which one is the best investment. So this property has all that, plus a bunch of other stuff, it has all the finance stuff in here, the market insights, so you could learn about, okay, which of these markets actually are performing the best. So yeah, it has a lot of that stuff, education center, pretty much everything. So yeah, that guys, look out for this platform. It'll be launching soon within the next few months. So yeah, where does this work best, right? So getting into, okay, where does this make the most sense, right? And this exact structure makes the most sense in Bali, right? Because Bali is just a market that is, so you have Africa, Bali, and Dubai. Those are I call it the golden triangle, right? So these are my three favorite areas overseas when it comes to real estate. And they all provide different things, and they all basically for different reasons or different type of people, right? Like right now, I'm in Bali. I've been working in Bali, but I'm about to move to Africa, and I'm going to be in Ghana, developing in Ghana, right? And Ghana is a great place to invest as well, and Africa is a great place to invest in as well. But the way Bali is structured is just so perfect, for passive income investments. This whole airdropping model, it works best in Bali because it's already structured that way, right? That's already the standard here. And also, just to keep in mind, Bali is the number one rental income capital in the world, right? So when it comes to occupancy rates, the tourism here is insane, right? There's like 17 million plus tourists per year that come into Bali. And that's not just internationally, it's also domestically. So half of that is domestic because Bali is one of the largest, has one of the largest populations in the world. So that's why Bali makes so much sense and why this works there so good, right? Because of the efficiency of the structure and the program that's already running, the demand, right? How many people are coming here, and that's pretty much it. And it's not based on trends, or speculation. Like this is real data that we can look at and verify and say, okay, where's the best place to have a rental income property right now? And is Bali. Like Dubai is cool. It's more expensive and it's less ROI. It's a less return on investment. So it's cool. It's more so a luxury place. Like if you have a lot more money, like if you have more than 600,000 or you have like a couple $1 million sitting around and you want to park that money in Dubai, then it makes sense because now it's like a store of value. It's not necessarily an income producing asset, and you get you're able to get a golden visa or a citizenship in Dubai, which is a lot easier than you would get one in Bali or in Africa. So that's more so for high rollers. Like if once you get to a certain level, Dubai just makes sense just in general to have citizenship there, a visa there, like a golden visa, because obviously there's zero taxes basically, and you get a lot of benefits from owning properties there. But Bali is the best market for this structure. If you're for beginners, if you're a beginner, you're just getting started out, you want to invest in Bali because it's super cheap. You could get properties up to $100,000. So yeah, this is literally the best market for this. It has the infrastructure already, and the land is super limited, right? So let's go into that, right? So here you guys can see like some of these details I already kind of given to you guys, right? Is that this shows
Can
in
I
20.
jump?
Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
can I jump in with a few questions?
Yeah, perfect.
Um, do you mean certain countries within Africa? If yes, what are other countries outside of Ghana? That's first question.
Okay. And that question, uh, can you say it again from the beginning? I'm
It
sorry.
says, do you mean certain countries within Africa? If yes, what are other countries outside of Ghana?
Okay.
Shayla, can you clarify a little bit more if about that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was
You can,
trying to, can you hear me?
yeah,
Yes.
we can hear
What
you.
I was trying to get at because I saw on your previous slide where you had um like very specific locations like Dubai, the
Yeah.
Bali, and Africa's like a really big continent. So
Yeah.
are there
Okay.
specific countries within Africa that work well
Right.
or
Yeah.
that we should have in our mind outside of Ghana?
Okay. Yeah. Tanzania. You definitely want to look at Tanzania, Ghana, Nigeria. Trying to think what else. I mean, there's a lot.
Kenya?
Kenya, yeah, Kenya as well. But yeah, just in general, Africa, like I said, it's a very big continent. There's so much stuff that's further developing there. But as far as the real estate market, where right now where I see the most focus is in Ghana, right? So Ghana, the real estate market is like the most focused area. I would say Ghana and Nigeria, and then like a country like Tanzania is like more so developing. And you got other islands and stuff like that. Like you got Seychelles, you got like so many different stuff, so many different places there that you honestly just keep your eyes open for the entire continent, because it's actively developing. And Africa is they have the biggest land uh, the biggest land resource. So let's just say 10 years from now or 20 years from now, when all of these other countries run out of land, or whenever, I don't know when that's going to be, right? Africa is going to be the country that still has the most land left, right? And it's going to be the most desirable. So that's why a lot of people are looking into Africa right now, even outside of real estate. If you want to invest, if you guys are looking at to invest into land, if we were talking land, then I would say Africa, right? Africa, number one, if you want to invest into land, invest into Africa because that land could be multi-purpose. It could be for agriculture, it could be for industrial stuff, it could be for anything, right? And that's very profitable and it's very low barrier to entry as well. So real estate is starting to develop there more and more. So, but right now, like I said, Ghana is the main focus point. And I think is the best area. You have areas like Tanzania, like other tourist destinations. I like Namibia. Like I think a lot of people aren't really talking about that area yet. Nobody's really like doing real estate there, but it's a high tourist attraction point. So you just want to look at the high tourist attraction point areas that have like the most to offer, because when it comes to rental income and rental investments, people want to go to places where they can have fun. They want to go, they want to be able to do things when they go to these places. So I think that's the most important aspect when it comes to that, when it comes to Africa itself. Um, but yeah, uh, just again, going back into Bali. I'm sorry, there was more questions. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one more. What about the Philippines or the Thailand, also pretty high tourist rates because you was
Yeah.
mentioning Bali
Yes.
and the
If,
tourism.
if we're talking about Asia, just understand that Bali is the number one, right? So I think I actually have that here, right? So this is the Bali ratings, right? So here you can see from all these platforms what how they rank all of the Asian markets, right? So as you guys can see, TripAdvisor placed Bali second in the world after London, right? And first in Asia, right? So you got Forbes fourth place in the world, investment attractive location. Daily Mail top one place in the world, best place in the world for a honeymoon. U.S. News TripAdvisor ranks Bali was second ranked in the world. Same thing as TripAdvisor. So yeah, everybody will tell you Bali is number one. Travel and leisure, Bali is number one amongst Asian resorts. Bali is the best island in the world. So Bali has no competition. Thailand is cool. Philippines are cool. Like these are places, yeah, you can invest in them, but why invest in this area if Bali is the best one, right? Why invest into these secondary markets when Bali is the number one market in Southeast Asia? So it just keeping that in mind. Like those places are great, but when it comes to rental income, Bali is the number one rental income capital. It's definitely in Southeast Asia, right? So just understanding, I think these slides will kind of give you guys a little bit better understanding when I go through it, right? So I think more so the ROI, just understanding the numbers and the scarcity, right? So the reason why Bali is number one too over Thailand and the Philippines is because there's limited land, right? Uh, Bali has a lot of sacred ground, right? There's a lot of restrictions to what you can build and where you can build. And it's an island, right? It's not an entire continent. It's an island within a country, right? So it's small, like there's only so much that could be built there. And there's 17 million tourists coming in and out every year plus, right? So just think about that. They're slowly but surely running out of land to build. So if you have a property here, once everything runs out, it's like you have no competition at that point. It's like it's not oversaturated. Like there will never be an oversaturation in this market. And there's unlimited demand. There's so many people traveling in and out of here. I've been here for 2 years and I've seen it myself. So I'm not just basing that off the numbers that I pulled from the internet. Um, uh, yeah, that's pretty much it as far as why Bali is so much more superior to those places. And also the numbers. That's what it comes down to too, is the numbers, right? So here in Bali, you see anywhere from 10 to 25% rental yields. Like these numbers you won't find these numbers anywhere else in the world. Like it's not normal to find these numbers, like, yeah, go ahead.
One question. Well, she says she loved Bali. Would you be purchasing a property in their currency?
Yeah, you don't have to purchase you can purchase the property in any currency. Literally, you could and you could pay in cryptocurrency. You could pay
Say
in currency.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, yeah, you could pay in USDT, whatever it is. They accept all types of forms of payment. So yeah, I mean, it's smart to purchase the property in their currency because there's less tax involved. So if you go there and you have that money in that currency, then obviously that'll be smarter. You will save a little bit of money by doing that, but that's if you want to go that route. But you don't have to. There's not like restriction or limitation to how you can purchase it. But yeah, again, the numbers, guys, the 10 to 25%, just do your homework after this call, right? Go search on Google or ChatGPT, wherever you guys want to search, and see where you can find 10 to 25% rental yields, right? So meaning that's 10 to 25% return of investment per year, right? So that's based on the rental income of the property. You're not going to find these numbers anywhere else. So that's why Bali is superior to a lot of markets. And then the appreciation, right? So it's 10 to 15% appreciation per year on the land. So whatever property you have is going to be going up in value, not just from the rental income, but also from the land, because again, the land is limited, right? There's limited land here and everybody's fighting over it. Everybody's trying to, if you come here and you see like everybody's building something. I expect in the next 10 years, the land is probably going to run out. It's probably going to be no more land in 10 years. And when that happens, the value of all of these properties are going to skyrocket, right? So that is the long-term vision of Bali, is that once this land runs out, once the space runs out to build, all of the properties that already are there the value is going to skyrocket. So keep that in mind. So yeah, rental prices in Bali increase by 20% annually, right? So if you're making, let's just say if you're charging 150 per night for your unit this year, that price is going to go up 20% each year, right? So you're stacking. You're making more and more money every single year, right? So keep that in mind, right? And it shows you here, right? The ranking of tourist countries by return on investment. You see Dubai, you see Thailand, you see Turkey, and you see Bali, right? That's the difference, right? It's double, triple certain markets, right? So you'll make triple what you'll make in Dubai than you will in Bali, right? And it's cheaper, right? Keep in mind, Bali is very cheap, very cheap. You can literally, if you didn't want to buy something that was already built, it's just like Africa. Africa is super cheap. You could build a 4-bedroom house in Africa for like $50,000, right? You won't be able to buy a 4-bedroom house here in Bali for $50,000, but you could essentially build one. It just wouldn't be super high quality, right? But it's possible, right? So that just goes to show you, like, if you wanted just to be super cheap and afford, but you don't want to be cheap if you're renting a property out. If you're building something for yourself, then yeah, save as much money as possible if that's your goal. But if you're renting something out for rental income, you want it to be as nice as possible. So the starting price here in Bali is $100,000 for a nice either studio apartment or 1-bedroom villa. You could get a 1-bedroom villa here for $100,000 flat, with everything included, right? So that's including taxes, that's including everything. So there's no hidden fees or surprises or anything like that. It's $100,000 flat. This market is very superior. And the occupancy rates, right? So let's talk about occupancy rates and understanding that 70 to 85%, right? Occupancy rate for daily rentals, and that's the average. So understanding that your property is going to be booked 70 to 85% of the year, right? So that's another reason why Bali is so superior, is because most places have around 40 to 60% occupancy, right? Bali is the average is like around 65 to 70%, right? And there's a lot of properties here. I work with a lot of developers, like for example, Alex Villas. All of their properties have 95% to 100% occupancy, meaning that basically their units are all booked up throughout the entire year. Like literally, I actually have a list from them of all of their properties and how often they're being rented out, right? So I've seen this data, real life data with these developers. I'm looking. Can foreigners own land 100%? No, foreigners cannot own. That's the catch about Bali, right? The catch is that you cannot own land here indefinitely, but it's to keep in mind, right? The psychology, right? To not get lost in this ownership idea, because it's not the same as the States, right? You can't have an American mindset trying to invest in global real estate. And just understanding that as a foreigner, in most places, you won't be able to own land 100%. right? So it's just understanding that from the gate. But when you got to use your logic, you got to use your brain, right? And just think and say, okay, say for example, you have leasehold, you have freehold. Leasehold in Bali is that you can own the property. You're basically leasing the property, right? So you can leasing the land. I'm sorry, you're leasing the land, right? So you could, let's just say you lease the land for 30 years, right? What matters is not how long you have a lease for. What matters is how much money you make in that time period, right? So you have to just look at it as a pure investment. You can't think of it as something, oh, like from a generational wealth standpoint, because you can't build generational wealth in someone else's country, right? Unless you're a citizen of that country, right? So it's just understanding the numbers and how it makes sense. So if I buy a property for $100,000 and my goal is to make that $100,000 back. That's the first goal, right? Is to make your money back, right? So let's just say it takes 5 years for me to make $100,000. It's $20,000 that I make profit per year. So within 5 years, I made my money back, and now there's 25 years left on the lease. So that means now for the next 25 years, everything that I make is profit. So that's $20,000 plus that $20,000 per year is going up by 20% each year. So all of that money for 25 years now is all profit, and I never have to lift a finger. I never have to do anything. So it doesn't matter if you only own the property for 30 years, because in that time frame you make all of this money, right? And then from there you can take your profits and just buy another property, right? And also you have the opportunity to be able to extend the lease. So all leasehold properties here, whether they're 20 years or 30 years, come with the option to extend the lease with the landlord, right? So you can extend it for another 25 years, another 20 years, another 30 years. And then freehold is basically you could lease a land at one time up to 80 years, right? And the only difference is freehold is more expensive than leasehold. So you'll pay more for that, but it makes no sense to do that, because it's like, okay, your goal is just to make money, right? You just want to make money. So don't think about this as an investment, as something that, I'm sorry, as ownership. Don't think of it as something that you're owning or you're holding on to for the rest of your life. You're just getting in and getting out, right? So let me see what other questions. What's the timeline to when freehold expires? It's 80 years. Is freehold only reserved for citizens? No, anyone can buy freehold. Yeah, anyone could buy freehold. Let me see if there's any more questions. I've been to Bali, loved it. Would you be purchased? Oh yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much about leasehold and freehold. It's not something that you guys really have to focus on, right? The goal here is for everyone to make money. We all want to make money, right? So you want to be buying into places where you can make the most money. It's not necessarily about ownership. If you want to buy something to own it, buy it where you live, right? So you can actually use it. And it's not just a property that's just sitting there. The point is to, make rental income and make profits, and then also be able to not have to manage this stuff, right? You don't want to have to manage these properties. You want to continue living your life and be able to do whatever it is that you're doing. You don't want to have an extra burden on you, right? So, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the price of the land rises annually. I already told you guys that. By 2030, a leader among developing economies. So Bali is developing very fast. They're planning on doing a lot of stuff here to make it even better, right? So yeah, one of the lowest inflation rates in the world, right? So that's why smart investors, all these big time people, are putting their money here, because they know the inflation, this currency is secure, right? That's one thing. If you're investing in anywhere in global anywhere in any type of asset, is to make sure that currency is stable, right? Because if for example, if I'm an Indonesian citizen and I invest into America and the currency is not stable, then I'm just giving my money away at that point. I put $100,000 into a property and it depreciates in value, or that the dollar, the currency that it's attached to, is depreciating. Then it's like I'm just basically giving my money away. It's the same thing with a bank account. If you have your money sitting in a bank account right now, it's just depreciating. It's not growing, it's depreciating, because the inflation is higher than any type of percentage, that interest that they're going to give you on having your money sit in that account, right? So even if you have your money in a high yield savings and you're making 5% a year, it's like inflation outpaces that. So it's like it's just pointless. but yeah, I want to show you guys this tool right here. So this tool is going to be your best friend if you guys are interested in global real estate. It's called AirDNA, right? So AirDNA is it's similar to something that Joy showed yesterday with the being able to see the rents and stuff like that, right? So this platform uh, gathers all the data from Booking.com, Airbnb, like all the booking platforms for these units that people rent out, right? For short-term rental income. And what it does is it shows you the revenue potential, the occupancy rates, the daily rate prices, so the average between all the areas and which areas are the best, right? So if you go to this platform, it's free, but it's limited. So you'll see like these locks here, right? This is really like actually an expensive platform. It's like $125 per month or something like that. So it only makes sense for you to get this if you're aggressively trying to scale, right? And really do your research. But with this, you can go to any country, right? And go to these areas and see, okay, which markets are performing the best inside of this area, right? And here you'll see in Bali, the number one is Ahmed. Then you have Nusa Dua. Then you have Bajang. Then you have Sonor. You have Canggu in there, right? And it'll show you, okay, which are the best performing markets. What is the average daily rental? How much are these people making? And they take the data from Airbnb, from Booking.com, right? So this is all real data that you guys can use. So this is what we show people when we're presenting properties to them. We show them, okay, look, these are the areas right now that are the most popular. It's based on data. It's not based on speculation or bias, right? So when you're investing, you don't want to just go based off of what people are telling you. You want to be able to see the data and see what's actually real, right? So this platform here, that's what that's for. It'll help you guys out with that a lot. It's again, it's
What's
called
the name of the platform again?
it's Air AIR DNA, so DNA.com. Yeah, airdna.com. So yeah, there's a great platform that you guys can use to do your own research. Very important. So yeah, I'll quickly just go over some of the locations in Bali, just so you guys can have a little understanding. You have Seminyak, which is very style and vibrant. It's like kind of like kind of a somewhat of a resort area by the beach. It has a lot of like attractions, activities, and stuff like that. You have Canggu, which is like the most popular area. It's a bohemian surf town, but it's really just like an expat hub. This is where all of the expats are. This is where, all the tourists come and they stay there. It's very busy, very crowded, noisy, parties, clubs, restaurants. Like I said, you got the black sand beaches. So yeah, Canggu's probably, if you hear about Bali, that'll probably be one of the main areas people will tell you about. Then you have Ubud, which is the central heartland. It's like the spiritual, heart of the island. It's more so like jungle, secluded, spiritual stuff, like different activities and stuff like that. It's more so laid back. It's a little bit far from the airport, but if you want to stay low key, secluded, and be in a peaceful environment, that's Ubud. Um, and the movie that popularized that area is Eat, Pray, Love. So that movie was shot in the area. So if you guys want to learn more about the area, you can watch that movie and see how basically Bali kind of became popular from that somewhat from a Western standpoint. Um, then you have Uluwatu, which is a cliffside paradise. So Uluwatu is like literally, I would say right now is like the number one area in Bali. And the reason why is because it offers a lot of benefits. It's on cliffs, so it avoids all the flooding because Bali has two seasons. It has a raining season and a hot season. So during the rainy season, which is right now, there's a lot of floods, right? So this area is less floods because it's at the highest point, right? So that's one of the biggest benefits, like from a structural standpoint. Uh, and obviously the cliffs, right? Like being able to, and the ocean. The ocean is a lot cleaner. It's a lot nicer. Areas like Canggu, Seminyak, the ocean is dirty. It's like you don't want to go in the water. Ubud has no water. It's just jungle. So Uluwatu is like the pristine prime area where all like super luxury properties are, where all the like wealthy people go. As also with Nusa Dua, right? So there's a luxury beach resort. So Nusa Dua and Uluwatu are right next to each other. So it has all the same benefits of Uluwatu. It's just Nusa Dua has less cliffs, but there's still cliffs there, right? But the beaches are the same. The beaches are actually nicer in Nusa Dua, from my opinion, and it's where all the 5-star hotels are. So think Ritz Carlton, Hilton, Kempinski, all of the nice 5-star hotels are all in Nusa Dua. So the roads are very developed. That's one of the main pain points of Bali, is that the roads aren't really developed and stuff like that. So that area is like Nusa Dua is, I think, one of the prime areas, and why I've chosen to build there with my partners, right? So, but yeah, that's it. Besides the, yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add, for anyone who's, been watching my Instagram for the past month or so, you've seen these places on Instagram. Everything that he's naming, I got to experience in real life. And I fell in love with each area. There's some that I don't 100% like Canggu. Like, I'm not amazed by that because it's a really populated area. But everything that he's saying, like, I got to experience for myself. And again, Bali is somewhere that I would personally invest, and I have like the areas that I know I would love. That means that everybody else would love too. As long as they're physically fit, they can really get around in Bali. Bali is somewhere where you have to be a little bit more physically fit, but like areas like he mentioned in Nusa Dua, definitely it is for all ages or so. But I just wanted to add that part in there. Like, I literally just got to experience each one of these. Everything he's saying is completely correct for us, the vibes and the investment opportunities as well.
Okay, so yeah, and to add on to what you said, right? Nusa Dua is an area where families come, right? So like if you're coming with your family, you will want to be in this area, right? It's very pristine, very developed, has infrastructure, peace and quiet. It's not, you won't run into a million young tourists and stuff like this. You can bring your family. It's very family friendly. Bali is very family friendly in general, but that area specifically is where most families are in Nusa Dua and Sonora, right? So it's Sonora, Nusa Dua, Uluwatu. So it's in that order. They all are right next to each other. So yeah, and then just understanding the land zoning regulations, right? So again, like I told you guys before, the land there is very limited, and they have regulations to the land. So whenever you're making an investment into a property, you want to make sure that you understand the land and the regulations of that land, right? So you want to make sure that you are in pink zone, right? So the pink zone is for tourism land. Any other land is like a hit or miss. Like you want to always just make sure it's pink zone if you're buying to rent, right? For short-term rentals. If you want to short-term rentals, put it on Airbnb. You want to make sure that the land is pink zone. So that's just one little tidbit I can give you guys, just so that you guys know what you're doing. You're not just buying anything. Like, oh, you just see a nice villa and you're like, oh yeah, this is amazing, I want to buy it, and then you buy the wrong zone, and you're not even able to rent it out, and you can't get your money back. So it's like that's very important. You want to always make sure that if your goal is to rent it out, that the zoning of the land is pink zone, right? So now I'll briefly go into the off-plan economics for you guys. So one thing to understand about global real estate as well, is very important to understand this, is that 90% of the market is off-plan, right? So for those that don't know, off-plan means that the project is not, it's not built yet, right? So everything that's available is in construction or pre-construction, right? And I'm gonna tell you guys why that's so important, right? And how it benefits you, right? So off plan is a lot better than buying something that's already finished, because you get it 50% below market value, right? So every single developer, when they start building, for example, I'm building right now, right? I'm building 30 villas in Nusa Dua. And the price of my project right now, I'll just use one unit as an example, is $185,000. So for you guys to understand this, every developer does this. Every single developer has the same structure, right? So if I'm building, right, and my starting price is $185,000 at pre-sale, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the price by 7% every quarter, right? So by the time that this property is finished, right, it goes from $185,000 to $242,000, right? So by you buying in, you get the price $57,000 cheaper, right? By buying at the property pre-sale before it's built. So you save $57,000, and you also it's not just save, you make $57,000, because now if you were to resell that property upon completion, let's just say you wanted to flip and you didn't want to hold this property for long term, and there's actually demand in this property. People actually are interested in buying it, right? Now, and for example, it takes 12 to 15 months. It's usually 12 to 18 months to build here, right? So let's just say you're buying a villa, it's pre-sale, it's going to take 12 to 18 months for that to finish. So during that time frame, the property value goes up and up and up and up. And it's not based off of speculation. It's not based off the land appreciation. It's based off of the developer increasing the prices, right? So automatically, when that property is finished and the keys are handed over to you, now your property is already worth 31% more than it was when you got it. So now you can, if you wanted to, if say for example you just needed money, you put your last $100,000 into this property, and for some reason something happens to you, maybe you get injured, or you have to pay a hospital bill, or you have to pay a debt or something like that. Now you can sell this property and you've made your money back plus $57,000, right? So that is the benefit of off plan, and why so much investors, and why the whole market is off plan, because it provides so much value to the investor. Yeah, go ahead, Joy.
I wanted to add, I wanted to add that before I met Michael, I actually met this other developer and this beautiful Black woman from Seattle, and she was actually buying two villas, and they are priced at 265,000 each, and it wasn't even built yet. So I wanted, in case you're thinking like, well, who will buy, it at that price for just pure cash or on a payment plan? Her and her sister are buying these villas at 265,000 each. There's plenty of Americans coming in and buying up villas using the same construct that he is talking about. The first time she was in Bali to see her property was the time that I was there. So she has already been paying for this property, a little under a year before, gone through this process completely remote and completely trusted the process. And I got to see the fruits of her labor, and then also developers' labor. And honestly, it was a very, very smooth process for her. And she got it at 265,000 starting. His is at 185. So I'm amazed at the numbers in Bali and the willingness of people to purchase, because they've done the research, and they can see that they're going to get their money. Definitely. She plans to rent it out about $250 a night is the goal for her unit. And they already know in the area that she's going to be in people will pay that.
Right. That's amazing. That's 250 a night. That's good money. That's amazing money that you don't have to work for, right? So with the right property management, she will not, if she decides to, use property management, then she will not have to do anything. All she has to do is sit back now and collect her money, right? So again, guys, this structure here, this is how global real estate works. It's not just Bali. This is how this works in Dubai. This is how this works in Africa, right? We're just so trained to understand real estate in the States, but this is how this works globally. So this isn't something that I came up with myself. This is something that has already existed for years and years and years, right? For years and years and years. Hold on, I just lost my screen. Just trying to call me. Oh, where did my screen go? Hold up. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, there we go. All right. So, yeah, understanding, guys, that this isn't something brand new. Like, we didn't create this. This already exists. People have already seen so much success in this. And you guys, like I said, always do your own research. So just because I'm telling you this, like, don't just take what I say for face value. Like, research what I'm saying, right? And fact check what I'm saying. This is already the structure here. There's already people who've made a bunch of money in these markets, obviously. But do your research, check other people's stories, see what yeah, go ahead, Joy.
I don't know if you're about to get into this or not, but Kenny is asking any guidance on interest rate Is it a sort of seller financing via the developer? Basically, how does the payment structure work, the terms and things like that work? I don't know if you have a slide already for that.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll go into that. So I'm pretty sure you guys are clear with the whole the structure with the pricing, right? So as far as the payment plans, there's no interest on payment plans, right? So this is an example, right? Can you guys see the screen, the pitch deck?
If you could zoom in a little bit more, like the smaller numbers, there you go.
Okay, perfect. So this is an example that I created of a flexible payment plan, right? So let's just say January 2026. Let's say you guys want to invest this month, right? You would put a 25% deposit down, which is the standard, right? It's usually anywhere from 15% to 25% to start the process, right? So you would put that initial deposit down, and that's all it would take for you to secure your unit, right? So you would put a 25% deposit down, and then from there, let's just say that's in January, then in April, you would have another payment, right? So this is just an example payment. These numbers are not the exact numbers for every single developer. Every developer you're able to negotiate your payment plan. So they're super flexible. They may already have a set payment plan like this, but if you need to adjust it or you want to adjust it, you can negotiate that. So keep that in mind. It's very flexible. So this is just an example. Then 15% April 2026, 10% July 2026, 10%, 50%, 10%, 50%, right? And then that's the full cost of the property, right? So that's how this works. There's no interest. You don't pay no interest on this. You pay at this pre-sale, right? The point of making a purchase, and then you finish the last payment by the time the property gets completed. So keep in mind, these are milestone payments. So 9 times out of 10, you can negotiate, or it's already structured, or if it's not structured, you can negotiate that you only continue to make these payments as the construction cycle is completed, right? So, for example, if you put 25% deposit down on a property that's pre-construction, that means it hasn't been built yet, and they don't make any progress, you're not required to make the second payment until they make progress, right? So that's how you protect yourself in these situations, right? Is that, okay, you put this 25% deposit down, let's just say for 5 months go by and they didn't do it a single thing. You don't have to make any payments until they start making progress. And there's also penalties. So in all the contracts that you sign, once you make the purchase and put down the deposit, there's delay penalties for the developers. So if they're late and they're which usually happens, right? In any construction, there's always, you have to factor in delays and stuff like that due to weather, due to whatever reasons, right? But there's always a delay clause in the contract that says, okay, if the developer is late this amount of time, they have to pay you X amount of dollars per week, per month, per like this, so that they're paying you based off of their own delays. So keep that in mind. Like you don't have to just make all these payments no matter what without seeing any progress or seeing any results. It's set up in this way to where you're protected and you're compensated if there are delays, right? Which there's always going to be delays to some extent. Yeah, go ahead, Joy.
He asks, what's the upper end timelines and payment plans from what you've seen, or if it's strictly tied to completion rate, or are we looking at 18 months to have full payment?
Yeah, it's so every project is different, right? So it depends on what type of project you're investing in. If you're investing into a villa complex and you're building 100 villas, which is normal, I mean, not 100 villas, let's say 100 units, let's just say 30 villas, right? The timeline for that would be anywhere from, let's just say, 12 to 18 months, right? For the entire stuff, they build all at once. So the entire time frame would be 12 to 18 months for that specific project, right? But every project is different. They all have different timelines. It's not all exactly the same, right? So just keeping that in mind, and then understanding that the payment plans are all flexible based on those developers. So depending on their timeline, they'll create a payment plan based on their timeline, and you would have to make the entire full payment by completion. So if it's 18 months, the 18 month you should have paid the entire cost of the villa. So if it's $185,000 by month 18, when the project's finished, whatever is left over in your balance should be finished at that point. So that's basically how that works as far as if you have any further question about that, you can drop it in the chat, and I'll go more into detail. But does everybody understand this whole payment structure? Is this clear to you guys? Do you guys understand how this works? If just type a 1 in the chat if this is clear to you guys, because this is very important. I want to make sure that you guys understand this. Okay. Okay, good. All right, yeah. If anybody has any questions moving forward about anything that I went over previously, just drop it in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to go more into detail and explain it to you guys. But again, so just recapping this, right, is just understanding that you get the opportunity to make money, make profit before your villa is even built. You already have equity or value appreciation in the property before it is even built, right? So if you wanted to flip this property and just get your money back right away, you could do that. But the smart thing would be to hold that property, rent it out, collect some profits first, right? And then at a later time flip, right? So maybe 5 years after you make all your money back, then you could flip, and now you made all your money back and you made money on top of that, right? So that's the primary strategy here in Bali, right? So okay, yeah. So that's what I kind of just explained right here is holding or exiting, right? So the whole path is just holding that property for X amount of time, whether it's the entire lease or 30 years, or you want to exit, right? So you can either resell before completion, or you can resell at a later time, right? So maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, once you've collected a bunch of made your money back and collected profit, now you can resell it for a higher price because the appreciation of the land is going to go up by 5 to 15% per year, and the rental income, the rental price is going to go up to 20% each year as well. So the value of the property in total, right? The property and the land are going to increase very, 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 very much. So you'll be able to, make a lot of profit off this, right? So yeah, just understanding that this is a repeatable system, right? So you guys can scale this. Once you invest into one property, the reason why you can scale it is because of the structure, right? So I explained to you guys the structure of airdropping real estate and how it works, where you don't have to lift a finger. All you have to do is 1, have the money, 2, sign the papers, and that's it. You don't do anything else from that point. You set up a bank account and you collect the money. That's all you have to do. So once you go through this process one time and you start to make money, whether you make a flip on your property or you hold it for rental income, when it's time for you now to buy your second property, you just do the same. You rinse and repeat, right? So you could just keep stacking properties and never have to lift a finger. You just have to have the money and sign the papers and collect. So this is an amazing system where you guys can get a lot of value from and be able to make a lot of money by not really having to do anything. You just have to have your stuff together, right? And understand it, right? And do your research because, obviously you don't want to make any investments into anything without doing your research. So now this is the part where I think you guys will be very excited about. For those of you who understand in the States, anytime people talk about investing into real estate, it's usually with loans, right? Like most Americans purchase homes on mortgages, on loans, et cetera, et cetera. They don't, most people don't buy houses with cash. Some people do, but that's how we understand buying real estate in the States. In overseas, the one drawback to global real estate is that in these countries, for example, in Bali, you're not going to get a mortgage. You're not going to get a loan from an Indonesian bank. That's not going to happen, right? And no bank in America is going to loan you money for an asset that's outside of the States because they have no jurisdiction to seize that asset if you were to default, right? So you're not going to be able to go to a bank and say, hey, I need $100,000 to buy this villa in Bali. They're not going to give it to you, right? They're not going to give you that money no matter what type of relationship you have with them because there's no collateral, right? You would have to provide them with some type of collateral, right, in the States for them to give you that money, right? So that's just something to understand. But the cool part about this is I've actually unlocked a way for people to get capital and push it overseas, right? So I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there's ways with personal credit and business credit where you can liquidate your credit cards or your lines of credit and basically transfer that money overseas, right? So even if you guys don't have the money to invest today, we could actually get you set up on a personal and business credit side of things and get you the capital to make these investments, right? At 0% interest, right? So that's what I want you guys to understand is, again, remember, guys, I just got into this real estate stuff. I'm maybe 3 years in. My background is in finance. So all my life, well, not all my life, but for the past seven plus years, I've been working in finance. So I've done every sector in finance I've worked in. So I'm not going to go through all the sectors, but I have a financial department inside of my company. There's 5 of us. We've served over 5,000 plus clients with personal credit, business funding, right? So we understand this to a T, right? We know exactly what we're doing when it comes to personal and business credit and how people can utilize that, whether that's in the States or outside of the States. So again, even if you guys don't have the money to make investments, we will be able to show you guys how to make those investments strategically and get access to capital that you can actually move overseas, right? And how to do that the right way, because obviously that has to be done a particular way, right? So this is something, like I said, is super exciting because I was able to put these pieces together when I first came here. You know, before I really got into real estate, and I understood, okay, I understand these finances. How can I make this possible overseas, right? And I did a year's worth of research, just, you know, making sure doing my due diligence, making sure everything is legal and compliant and all of that stuff, right? So it's 100% legal, 100% compliant. You guys can do this stuff. I can show you how to do it. So, you know, if you guys are serious about investing into global real estate, and let's just say maybe you either don't have the cash or you don't want to spend your own cash, right? Which is strategic, right? Even if you do have the money, you want to be able to use other people's money, especially if it's at 0% interest, right? But just keep in mind that this 0% interest is in a time frame of 8 to 24 months. But we're actually able to transfer the balance from card to card. So we can just keep cycling this 0% interest rate. But at the end of the day, you don't want to rely on credit, right? You don't want to rely on this. It's just a tool to help you get into the game, right? So you don't want to be relying on the stuff. You just want to use it as leverage in the beginning if you're not already in position. But if you're already in position, you know, I would say, you know, use your cash. You know, if you have extra reserves, if you have extra cash, just use the cash, you know, and keep the personal and business credit for other stuff, right? But again, if you don't have the cash and you want to use other people's money, we will help you do that strategically. So, you know, you guys aren't paying all this extra fees and all this extra money, you know, and being able to make the right investment. So that is important, guys. That's on the table. Keep that in mind. So even if you oh, I want to do this, I want to invest, I want to buy villa in Bali, you know, I'm so excited about this, but I don't have the money right now, and I don't necessarily know how I could get a loan to be able to invest overseas. Because trust me, when you guys try this, I know you probably will try it yourself and try to go into the bank and see if you go, oh, I want to invest in a Bali. They're gonna deny you. You're gonna get declined. They're gonna not approve it, and but that's okay, right? That's not the end. Like I said, I've created a structure and a system to where you guys can get access to all of this stuff and be able to do this overseas. So I'm going to quickly go into that now and show you guys step by step how that will work, right? So first thing we would do is a credit assessment, right? So we would first assess your credit profile, right? And see what it looks like, right? And I want you guys to understand one important thing about credit, right? Because I'm a credit specialist or the business funding specialist. So credit is not about your score, right? So you can have 750, but if your credit profile looks like shit, you're not going to get funded, right? So it's just understanding that about credit. It's about your profile. It's about your credit mix. It's about your utilization. It's about all these other factors, right? That play a major role into whether or not you get approved or denied by a bank, right? Or approved or denied by a credit company, right? So this is very important that we do this assessment to understand where you are. So even if, for example, you may have a 580 credit score, but your profile may look sexy, you know, so it's not necessarily holding you back, and it's easy to be able to boost your score, right? I could boost your score by 100 points in 1 month. You know, it's very easy, but like, again, it's not about the score. It doesn't matter what your score is, it's your profile. So we sit there with you and make sure your profile is fundable, right? To where you won't get denied by credit companies, you won't get denied by banks, right? And you'll be able to do what you need to do and get these cards and these credit cards at 0% interest. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware of that, but there's credit companies and lenders that offer 0% interest promos. And the reason why they do this is because to build a relationship with you, right? I have a lot of people that I tell about this, and they always think that it's a scam or something. They think, oh, what does the credit company or the bank gain from this? And it's like they gain your business, right? They gain a relationship with you, right? This promo period is only for 8 to 12 months. So of course, you can transfer that balance now to another company, but they don't know that you're that smart, right? They don't know that you know that secret because nobody teaches us this stuff, right? So they do this to try to not trick you, but to give you an incentive to work with them, right? So that's all it is. It's not a scam. You guys can search this up. It's real facts. It's real things that people do. So that's the first thing that we do. Second thing, we form a business, right? Because you don't want to just rely on personal credit. You want to be able to use business credit, right? So forming your business, structuring it the correct way, right? And getting everything set. Did you have a question, Joe?
Oh, no, but I will like to say something. So you mentioned that everybody, normal people do this all the time. I kind of mentioned this yesterday.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I actually did it myself. I had 2 rounds and I got a total of 120K. So and the second time I did it, obviously each one of those have 0% interest up to like he said, 8 to 12 months. So I would I would take advantage of that because they would do a free transfer on purpose because they want you to start using the credit right away. So for one of my card, I was trying to get into like the Uber, not the Uber, well, Uber industry. So I went and bought a Jeep on my Amex, so $19,000 Jeep, and then I transferred the debt onto one of those 0% interest, basically, and was paying that one off at that point. And then any of the other credit I used for my real estate, with my 5 unit and was able to pay those off once I refinance out. So this is a strategy to be able to pull money off. I've pulled money off. I've transferred debt onto these 0% interest, because it matters. You're buying yourself some time. At the end of the day, money is fake.
Yeah,
Everything is fake at the end of the day.
you just printed money.
So
That's why the dollar has no value right now because they just print,
yeah,
they're just giving it away like candy. So it's like, why not take advantage of that, right? And
take
understand,
advantage of the system.
take advantage of the system, right? That's what it's there for. That's how all the wealthy people got wealthy. So why not do the same
Yeah.
thing? It's just the
And
fact that
then
yeah, we haven't been taught these things. That's it.
And then if you get a little scared, like, well, I'm holding all this debt. Well, it's really your LLC is holding the debt. So if Trump can go bankrupt a trillion freaking times, so can your LLC.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And you don't
you
want to go bankrupt, but if you have to, that's always an option. So just
yeah.
keep that in mind. If you for some reason can't pay this money back, it's not the end of the world. Like it can be rectified. Everything could be
Hmm.
repaired, right? So even right now, if say for example you guys want to invest, but your credit may not be where it needs to be, that's not the end of the world. We can fix that. We could get your credit fixed
Hmm.
in 1 to 3 months. Depending on your situation. So don't allow anything to hold you back. Like don't allow the fears of other people and what other people say about these things when they don't even have the knowledge, right?
Hmm.
They don't even know what's possible. They haven't met these type of people like Joy who've used their credit to be able to make real estate investments, and they haven't seen it. So never allow someone else's perception to deter your success. Um, so yeah, business formation, credit stacking, and liquidation. So from there, we can get you approved for 50K to 150K, just like Joy. She had, was approved for 100 plus $1,000, right? And interest free, right? Lines of credit. So you'll pay 0% interest for X amount of time. And whenever that time runs out, you can just transfer the debt to another 0% interest card. And you could just keep doing this for the rest of your life, right? Because there's thousands and thousands of credit companies, right? So you'll never run out of credit companies to transfer the debt balance to a different credit card. You can have 20 credit cards, right? There's no limit to credit cards. There's no limit to what you can do with that. So you guys have to be aware of this and be able to use it to your benefit. If you don't have the cash, if you got $200,000 sitting in cash right now, then this doesn't necessarily have to apply to you. But if you only have 20,000 or you only have a couple $1,000s, then this is the primary source for you guys to get into the game, right? And again, it's just to get into the game. It's not for you guys to take advantage of 100%. You can if you want to, but it's just to get you in the game. Once you get in the game, from there, then you could make decisions based off of your success, right? But this is very important. We're able to stack this credit for you guys. And then from there, we start the property search and we make the investment. And another thing that I didn't tell you guys that I left for the end is that in Bali, particularly, you can make an investment right into a property. So remember, I'll go back to this just so I can show you guys, right? So with the payment plan, right? Once you get to 50% of the entire payment. So let's just say you put 25% down and then you put another 25% down 4 months later. And now you've put down 50% into this property. A lot of developers offer the option for investors once they make 50% to be able to resell the property without paying the rest of the balance. So you can actually only put 50%. So say a property is $100,000. You only have to put $50,000 on this property and you don't have to make any more payments up until the property is completed. And you could resell it during that time frame, anytime in that time frame without making any more payments. So what this means is you could get into a cheap property at $50,000, whether you pay in cash or whether you pay in credit. And then within the span of 8 to 18 months, right, you can resell that property without making any more payments, right? And the buyer is going to pay the remaining balance, right? And you don't even have to find the buyer. We find the buyer for you, right? And me and the developer, we find the buyer and we resell your property. So you don't, again, you do no work and you only put half of the money into the property, right? So this is an amazing strategy and structure that you can use if like you don't want to put a full amount of cash. You don't want to put $150,000 into a property, $200,000 into a property. You can use this strategy to your benefit. Yes, you can speak. Go ahead, Kenny.
Is that 50% of the pre-sale price? So then it's pretty much a type of wholesale?
Exactly. So if the pre-sale price is $100,000, right, you can put in 50,000 and then you wouldn't have to make any more payments. And the property, again, remember the structure I showed you guys, right? It's going to increase. Oh, I'm the developer, right? So let's just say this is my property. I'm going to increase the price 7% per quarter, right? So that means you're basically essentially buying this property at 100,000, but you only have to put 50% down. So you put 50,000 down and the property is now increasing by 7% each quarter. So when completion is finished, now that $100,000 property is now worth $131,000. So when you resell it to the buyer, or when we resell it for you to the buyer pays $131,000, right? And you basically get your money back. You get your 50,000 and then you get the 31,000 on top of that, right? So now you just profited 31,000 by only having to put $50,000 down. You understand? So this is a strategy that can be used. It just has to be used correctly. You can't just invest into any property because you have to make sure it has the right price increase strategy. It's a reputable developer and it has demand. Demand is the most important thing because if you're buying a property that's in construction, for you to be able to resell that property at completion, when most people don't want to buy at completion, they want to buy at pre-sale, just like you did, right? Because they know they're getting it for a cheaper price. So for you to do this successfully, you have to invest into a property that's in super demand. So basically, let's just say there's 10 villas and you buy one of those 10 villas and they all sell out. And there's 20 people who still wanted one of those villas, right? Now it's like, now you have the leverage, right? Now you have the demand in the property. There's people still want this property, even though it's completed. They don't care about paying the extra $31,000 because they want this property they know is valuable. So they'll pay that price, the completion price, because they know that it's going to be profitable. So that's that structure and how that works. And it's very important because with credit, this makes this so much more accessible because it's easy for us to get you $50,000 in credit. Like that's the easiest thing that we could do. Like that's like the bare minimum, so we could easily get you $50,000 on business credit at 0% interest. And that interest will be I mean, the time period of the interest can be, the debt can be paid off in that time period of the 0% interest. So you wouldn't even have to make a balance transfer. You could just use that one credit card, one business credit card, instead of transferring, getting the next one, the next one, the next one, right? You could just use that one time frame, whether it's 8 to 24 months. And in that, let's just say 8 to 18 months, the property's built and you resell it already. So that's what makes this amazing, because say if you have cash and you have credit, you could buy 2 properties at once, right? You could put $50,000 down on one property. You could buy the other property for $100,000 in cash, right? And just keep doing this, right? And like I said, this is now just a cycle. It's a repeatable system that you have, and it's handled for you. So that's what I love about this, guys. And I want you guys to understand the value in this is that all of this stuff is handled for you. So this is not like me giving you guys a course and a guide, and then you got to figure everything out by yourself and execute this by yourself. You have an entire system, an entire team, an organization to help you throughout this entire process, from the business credit to the legal side to the real estate investment, to choosing the right properties, having the relationships with the developers to be able to negotiate these terms and make sure that everything goes smoothly. And then the property management, so that you guys don't have to lift your finger once you have the investment, if you plan on holding it, right? If you plan on flipping, you don't even have to worry about marketing it and listing it, trying to find buyers and all of this. We handle everything for you, right? And you retain full rights and full control over the entire situation, right? So that is the best thing about this, right? Is that this type of system and structure you won't find anywhere else. And that's why I love global real estate. And that's why I dedicated my past 3 years to getting into this market and building as many relationships as possible and just understanding how the stuff works. And now I'm also building myself. Like I told you guys, I'm building 30 villas in Nusa Dua here in Bali. And I'm also getting ready to purchase land in Ghana next month and starting to build 5 villas there, right? So, and I'll be basically, using a lot of what I learned in this time to be successful in doing that. So that's pretty much it. The resale collection, the construction cycle, I already told you guys, anywhere from 6 to 18 months, depending on the time period of when you buy it. The value increases up to 30% during the build phase. Sometimes it can increase up more depending on the developer. And then you have the option A to flip before completion. And then you have the option D to rent it out for passive income, right? So that's pretty much it. Who is this for? Like, this is for first movers, right? People who understand, like, okay, they see something ahead of time. So if you're a person who sees something like a trend before it starts, that's who this is for, right? This is not for the people who need, millions and millions of validation and all these, extra stuff, right? It's just, okay, seeing the value and the structure in the system, being able to do your own research and be able to make a decision, right? Being action oriented and be able to say, like, okay, this is something that I need to get into now. Because again, like I told you, this isn't some sales tactic. Bali's land is scarce, it's limited. There's only so much land left. So you only have a short window of opportunity to capitalize off of this investment, this opportunity, right? I would say by 2030, it's going to look real dry out here. It's going to be, everything is going to be already built. So you're not going to be able to take advantage of the off plan and the whole pre-construction thing, right? So being able to get properties below market value, being able to get them at the value that they are today versus what they're going to be in 2030, it's going to be way more expensive by the time 2030 comes around, right? And there's going to be less land, so it's going to be double expensive based on it's just going to be super expensive past 2030. Also because they're developing so many things. They're building a new airport by 2030. They're building a metro line by 2030. They're doing a lot of things that's going to make the island more expensive, more luxury, So you want to be an action taker and you want to be a long-term thinker. You want to be able to think long-term, but be able to act short-term. So that's who this is for. And then next steps, just to wrap it up, guys. So yeah, you can get in touch with me anywhere from here. You guys can screenshot this if you want to. This is my WhatsApp number here. Obviously, guys, I'm in Indonesia, so I use WhatsApp. Everybody uses WhatsApp in outside of the US. I had never used WhatsApp before I left the States. And it's funny, I used to make fun of people who use WhatsApp, but now I only use WhatsApp. It's pretty funny. And I have my website here. It's listed right here as well. If you guys want to check out my website, there's a lot of information about me, my company, what we do, testimonials, whether that's with credit, with finance, with funding, with business development, So yeah, you guys can check that out. My email is also, that's my personal email. And then if you guys are serious, if you guys are serious about investing into Bali or look anywhere in the global real estate, I know today, guys, I focused just on Bali, but the reason why I did that is because of the system that we created is perfect for Bali. But if you want to invest in Dubai, if you want to learn more about Africa and see what we're doing over there, you want to, wherever it is, we're in multiple countries, over, I think it's over 15 countries now that we have properties in, over 500 properties worldwide. So if you're serious about global real estate and you want to invest, maybe you're curious about credit, and how to use that and how to, whatever it may be, this scan right here, if you guys scan this, this will bring you to a intake form where you guys can put all the information so that I can assess, what it is that you guys are trying to do. And then from there, we'll be able to set up a call, right? So, yeah, you guys have access to this, and this discovery call or this investment call will be free. We don't charge people for consultations or stuff like that when it comes to real estate. So, yeah, you guys can scan this. I will also drop the link in the chat. Just actually, I'll just drop my website link. If you guys go to my website, I've actually put the link on the website as well. So I think that'll probably be a little bit easier. So if you go to my website, I don't know if you guys can, I don't think you guys can see that screen. But yeah, you can scan this if you guys are on your computer. And then I will put this in the chat. And also, any questions, go ahead. All the questions you guys have, you can ask now. I'll answer every single one of your questions, whatever it may be. So yeah, you guys can start pulling in the questions while I post this in the chat. Okay, so yeah, this is my website. If you guys go to this website, right there on the first page, it'll have the header, and then it'll have a webinar intake form. So you just click here to apply, and it'll take you to a job form link. And that job form will basically have all the information that I need to be able to help you guys. So you're welcome. Okay. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts, what are your feedback? Do you guys have questions? How do you guys feel about the market? How do you guys feel about my presentation? By the way, guys, this is my first webinar. I've done a bunch of presentations and I pitched a lot throughout my entire life, but this is actually my first webinar, guys. So
Congratulations. It was very well. Very good. Very good.
thank you. But yeah, you guys can talk. You don't guys have to type it in the chat. If you guys have any questions, you can speak.
So far as the replay, we'll download it and we'll send it out via email, for you to access this link. I know it was technical issues, so definitely we'll send this email out for you to access it.
Perfect.
So, I think the question I want to know it from the group, does everybody completely understand why it's important to invest outside the United States at this time? Like if you are an investor, like type a 1 in the chat, please. If you do understand, type a 2 in the chat if you don't. Okay. All right. So we got a 2. Anybody else?
I'm glad that you guys were able to see the value and the importance of why it's so important to invest globally. But yeah, so for Shayla, USD value is plummeting. Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Shayla, you can speak.
Yeah, go ahead. Can you speak, Shayla?
I can. I'm in a hospital room. My aunt's in the hospital, so that's why I got this mask on.
Okay.
Okay, no worries.
But I get it. I see now.
Okay.
It's just kind of difficult, I think. And maybe if you're in a military, because I'm active duty, right? So I think it puts me in a different situation. Especially when you got to consider like your clearances and you have to report that stuff and what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. And that is understandable. I'll dig into that a little bit more because I'm now curious now that you just said that, of how does that affect active duty? I think a lot of times I'll talk to a lot of vets that are out the military already. So yeah, that's a really good question. I'll dig into that.
Yeah, that is a question.
Yeah, but overall, the value of your dollar the dollar is getting weaker and other currencies are getting stronger. That's the point. So you can buy a really expensive house here, and eventually that house is going to be worth less and less and less. It may seem like it's worth more, but it's going to be worth less and less and less, because when you start to pull that money out of it, in comparison to other countries, it would be worth less. So that's where we are right now. It's good to diversify. US can always make a comeback, sure, but a
Exactly.
new system will probably be in place by the time that happens. And
Exactly.
you will then own a piece of the United States. That's where I was saying yesterday that it's good to own a piece of the United States, because eventually it's going to make a comeback, and you're going to have at least a piece of the United States, and be one of the first in this new system, with owning property already. It always is. It's a cyclical. It's always going to happen.
Yep.
It's always going to be a crash that's going to happen, and then a new system will be in place, and then that system's going to reach a bubble, and we just don't know how long we're going to be alive to see that happen. But you just put things in place for it to pass down to your kiddos, and give them legacy.
Right.
Yes, Kenny. Oh, my bad. Did you have something, Michael? Sorry.
No. Kenny, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so my question is mainly back to like the freehold versus leasehold. Is that country dependent whether they allow you, a non-citizen, to own land outright?
Ask the
Yeah.
question again. Ask the question again. I'm sorry.
So like Bali, for example,
Yeah.
you can only do the freehold or leasehold is not indefinite. It's not
Yeah, it's
forever.
not indefinite. Yeah, it's not indefinite.
So, and I think I was recently talking to someone who is an agent in the DR, and they do have where non-citizens can buy outright. So I guess is this typical for that region, that Asian
Yeah,
region?
yeah. It's typical for that region. It's also typical in Africa. The leasehold there is 50 years, I believe. You have to be a citizen to own for like 90 plus years or something like that. So it's typical in most places. Yeah. But again, it's just understanding like whether you're investing in the DR, you're investing in the States. It's just this is an asset that's gonna bring you income for the time that you have it. So it's like it's just kind of, I guess, I don't know what the right analogy I can use is. Just for
Mhm.
example, like if you're in a relationship, like the goal of your relationship is to enjoy it while you're in it. Like your relationship may not last forever. Like the person that you're with, they may pass on at some point, right? It's just understanding that nothing really belongs to you at the end of the day, because okay, even if you own a property that outright, it's like you could pass tomorrow. You could, God forbid, but it's like nothing really belongs to you at the end of the day. So it's just how you enjoy it and how it's beneficial to you in the time that you have it, right? Most people aren't going to live past, uh, for example, I don't know how old you are. Maybe you're 30 years old, right? You're not going to live past, 100 years, right? So what's the point in, yes, you can pass it on to your children, but at the end of the day, it's like you want to be able to enjoy these investments while you have them, right? You want to be able to enjoy that money while you have it, and while you're able to use it and deploy it, whether it's for personal use or whether it's for further investments. So that's just kind of like the mindset you got to have as from a financial standpoint. So take the real estate out of it, right? Because again, I have a finance background, so I always think finance first. Like, how does this make sense financially? And that's the mindset you have to have going into any investment, whether it's real estate, whether it's commodities, whether it's land, whether it's a business, right? Obviously, you can, for businesses a little bit different. You could set things in place and have certain employees. You can have a trust and be able to pass that on and be able to keep it going. But at the end of the day, this is just one asset of many. So it's like, okay, yeah, you can have a property in the DR when you own it outright, but you also want to be able to have a property in Bali, because of the rental income and how much money that you can make while you own that property, if that makes sense.
It definitely makes sense. I'm more so just curious as to what happens at the end of the term. Is it a forced sale where you can still basically you're forced to sell it, but you make the proceeds from it? Like what happens? Like who
And so
like
basically,
yeah.
you lease the land, right? So the property is yours, the actual building is yours, but the land is owned by the landlord. So the landlord is leasing you the land, just like how they would lease you an apartment, right? So
Mm.
when the time period is up, It's like, okay, you can do whatever you want with these materials. If you know how to move a house, you can move the house somewhere else, right? Obviously, that's going to be extremely difficult, but the property itself, the items in it, the furnishing, etc., that's all belongs to you, you know.
Yeah.
But the land belongs to the landowner, right? So that's just how it works here. They don't
Yeah.
allow foreigners to come and take over the land. And I tell people this all the time, right?
Yeah.
I broke this down in a video that I did with Joy, and it's just if you're somewhat spiritual, it's just understanding like, okay, this land belongs to the locals. Why,
Yeah.
if this was your country, would you allow foreign people to come and just take over all the land? Like, essentially, no. You know, like you wouldn't want these people to come and just be able to buy everything outright and be able
It
to own
makes
it forever, because now the local people who live in that country, they're they don't have nothing,
yeah.
so that's basically why that stuff is in place. It's not necessarily that they're trying to get over on you. It's just it's their
No,
land. It's sacred to them, so that's basically what that is.
no, it makes sense. It's just a fixture, but I'm just trying
Yeah.
to figure out what the plan is at the end of that term. Do the
So basically,
landowners
at the end of that term,
Can
it's
I?
done. It's over. Like
okay.
you basically you don't really have to worry about nothing at that point. It's just okay if you want to take the property, if you want to take the materials, if you want to break it down, sell it. You want to get sell the furniture or whatever the case may be. If you're able to move that house in any type of way, which I don't think is possible in Bali, maybe it is. But obviously that would cost a lot of money, probably the same amount of money that you took for you to buy that. So that wouldn't be necessarily the right move financially. But essentially, it's just you forfeit the profit pretty much at the end of the lease. But again, remember, leasehold is 20 to 30 years with a possible or guaranteed extension. So you're able to renegotiate with the landowner to be able to have the property for X more amount of time, right? But at the end of this whole cycle, at the end of the day, that's what you mean. It's like, okay, at the end of the cycle, what happens, right? What basically happens is it's done, it's over. That's the easiest way to put it. It's like you could destroy it, destruct it, sell it, sell the materials, not the property. You can't sell the property because it's on the land and you don't own the land. You're leasing the land. So it's just understanding that aspect of it. You wouldn't be able to sell someone a property if the leasehold terms are over because it's now back in the ownership of the landowner. So you just own the materials and the physical part of it, but not the land. So you can't necessarily sell it at that point.
So, we talked about exit strategies yesterday. This is the ultimate exit strategy, which is the lease is up, so time is done. And the mindset is you just honestly prepare for that. Uh, what he mentioned for those particular areas is like, okay, if you were going to get in right now, at his like pre-construction stage, you're already have a tons of equity in it by the time it actually completes, and the construction is completed. And then even after that, with the amount of cash flow that's going to come in, you're going to be able to pay off your initial investment within 5 years. So if it takes 18 months to actually build by the time they've started the leasehold, we're
Yeah,
only 18 months in of a 30-year
exactly.
lease. And then at that point, he's saying 5 years to basically pay off your entire investment. So, we're basically at a little over 6+ years out of a 30-year lease. So 6+ years on to between 6+ years to 30, you are making pure profit.
You're a profit.
Think to yourself, is that good enough, for our exit strategy? Like, okay, I'm making pure profit for the next 24 years, basically. I
Exactly.
think I think it served its purpose because then you can then take that money and do something else with it within that time frame. And it's almost like you're printing money within that time frame. So it's really losing the attachment and emotional aspect of ownership and thinking at like a pure investment. But I struggled with that initially too, of like, damn, like, so I
Yeah.
really don't own it, but I own it, but I don't own it. But it's really temporary. All right, my bad, Kenny. Go ahead.
I want to try to restate it a little bit. Maybe it'll help kind of communicate what I'm asking. So I'm not so much concerned about or freaking out about the fact that you don't own it. So, for example, like it would be costly to break it down or like Michael was saying, move the house.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking is does the landlord, is there anything where they're like, hey, I have this fixture that I own on top of the land? Like, is there, I don't know. I hesitate to think that they would just destroy the house too, because technically you own the fixture, right? You just don't own the land
Yeah,
underneath.
they're not going to destroy it unless you request it to be destroyed, unless they want to do something. For example, because their whole thing is, all right, now I'm going to lease this land to someone else. So now it's dependent on, say, for example, it's my land, right? You come and build on my land. I say you could stay here for 30 years. The 30 years is up. So now I have to make a decision. What do I want to do with this land as a landowner? Do I want to be able to offer it to someone else? So now if I
Mm.
offer it to someone else, it's whatever vision I have or whatever vision that client has. So if they want to build their own house, or they like that house, if it's still there, like if you didn't deconstruct it, because you have the right to do that, you know.
Yeah.
But essentially, yeah, if it's a nice house, why would I deconstruct it? But I'll tell you why I would deconstruct it as a landowner. I would deconstruct it because 30 years that gone by, now that villa is outdated, right? So think about that. It's outdated. I would want a fresh new villa, right? To be able to provide to a client, because you got to think about maintenance, wear and tear, all this stuff, right? That villa is not going to be the same villa that it was when you first built it. So as a landowner, that's what I would do. I would definitely deconstruct it if you didn't decide to deconstruct it, to be able to provide a fresh new villa to the next buyer, right? So
So,
that's
so
what
the, so the fixture is considered part of the land after the terms are up. Like, I don't know, does that make
if
sense?
if if you don't
Yeah.
if
That's
you
what I'm
don't
struggling with. It doesn't,
Yes.
that's what's
if,
not making sense to
if
me.
you don't do anything with it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So basically it's like, hey, it's up. You can destroy, demolish this house, or you can move it somewhere else. If you leave it here, it's now owned by me.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
As a
because
Cool,
landlord.
cool. Okay, cool.
yeah,
That makes sense. Okay.
yep, pretty much. Yep, because it's on the land. So essentially, like again, this is why we say you don't own this property, right? You're leasing it, right? So essentially, yeah, it's owned by the landowner. So they can do whatever they want with it at that point if you decide not to do anything with it, right? So if you decide, okay, I don't want to move this, I don't want to deconstruct this, then it's basically it's at their discretion at that point to do what they want to do with it. But yeah, that's pretty much that. But again, yeah, just a mindset. It's just a mindset thing. And just understanding, like even with Joy, what Joy was saying, it's like she had a hard time wrapping her head around it, and it's just understanding that you can have both, right? You can have ownership in one country, and you could have lease something in another country, right? So it's just you still get what you want at the end of the day. Like you can still have ownership wherever it is that you are able to have ownership, whether that's the States or whether that's your home country, in Sierra Leone. You can still have ownership in those countries, and certain countries that have ways you could get citizenship. Uh, the only way you can get citizenship in Indonesia is by marrying an Indonesian. There's no other way for you to get a full blown citizenship here. You could get a KITAS, you could get certain visas that allow you to stay longer, but you will never be able to become an actual full blown citizen in Indonesia as a foreigner. It's just not possible. So, but certain countries obviously they have different rules and stuff like that. Like for example, I'm going to Ghana. I'm purchasing land. I'm going to be building there. I'm going to be building for others and also for myself. The leasehold there is 50 years, but I'm planning on getting my citizenship. So with dual citizenship, I'll be able to, own that property for 90 plus years, right? With the possibility of extension. So every country is different, but you just got to see the value in those each countries and what the purpose is for owning there. Right. The purpose in owning in Bali is that it's the number one rental income capital of the world. And it already has this perfect, beautiful, stable structure and, obviously a stable currency. And it's a desirable place. It's one of the top traveling destinations in the world. So when you're talking about investment, those are the things that you want to look for. Those are the things that should matter to you. It's like, okay, how many people are visiting this country? What's the trajectory of the country? How stable is the currency? What are the occupancy rates? What is the rental income? What is the ROI percentages, the numbers, right? 10 to 15%, 10 to 25%. in reality, if you get a really good property, you could see more than 20% per year on your investment. So that's what it comes down to. Is it assumed that you own it if you have dual citizenship? So again, like I said, I think I just broke that down in what I said. Um,
You did.
yeah,
I want to add that the leasehold cost, the initial leasehold cost for that 30 years is included in the purchase price. So
exactly.
that's
Every
also good to know that you're during your whole 30 years, you're not going to have to make another payment. If you get closer to maybe like year 25, and maybe even a landlord might approach you like, "Hey, you want to extend?" Because what I'm learning is that they run out of money themselves and they might want a chunk of money. So they'll approach you and then you can extend that way too, or you can approach them. But is being proactive if you do want to extend, or maybe some things are going wrong. Maybe the economy is declining. Maybe you want to just simply abandon, the property and be hands free with it and not have any obligation. A lot can happen in 30 years from now, you
exactly.
know. A lot has happened. I'm 35. A lot has happened in my little lifetime. So I can imagine 30 years from now in another country
Yeah.
or other countries in general. A lot is
So
happening in this past year.
I want to get to Shayla's question. Yeah, she asked me if she could if there's any companies that would provide a home equity line of credit on an investment property. So you're saying you want to use a property you already have to get a line of credit? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And is that property completely paid off?
No.
Okay, so I think that is relying on whether the property is paid off or not. From my understanding, I could be wrong, um, but maybe it's possible. I would say maybe it's possible, but usually for the best terms, it's like how I understand collateralizing real estate assets is that usually lenders look for that asset to already be paid off, right? They want to see that it's paid off to for it to make sense for them. But I'm pretty sure that there's some type of workaround or some type of loophole to where there's certain
Mm.
companies that provide that type of service. I like to use that equity in my investments property to yeah. So it really depends. It depends on the equity. It depends. Is it a property that is it for residential or is it for using for income?
Uh, it's no, it's there's two rental properties. They're
Or
homes. They're actual houses.
okay, and so that will be determined on the cash flow of those properties. So basically, like how much income are they bringing in? Is it super profitable? Is it on track to cover the entire price of the cost of the property that whatever it is that you owe, whether it's a mortgage or whatever type of loan structure that you have with that. So that's definitely possible as long as it's actually profitable and you have the P&L sheet, or you have the actual the bank statements and all those documents to show that it's a profitable property, then yeah, that's 100% possible. 100% possible.
Look into trust transfer, Shayla. I
Mhm.
heard that's like a recent thing where so people transfer their assets into a trust and then take out lines of credit against their trust account.
Okay.
Yeah. But I can do a little bit more research on that and I could get back to you too. So because I don't want to tell you something exact, without it being exact. Because from my understanding, it's like I'm working with clients right now. I have a client, he has an $800,000 property, but it's completely paid off. Right. So I know that from that we could get up to anywhere from 50 to 85% loan to value of the property in an equity line in a line of credit. Right. But yeah, I never collateralized any assets that weren't paid off. So I don't want to tell you that's 100% possible or not, but it should be possible because it's not a residential property. It's an income producing asset. So at the end of the day, you're you're basically collateralizing
Am I losing signal?
to get
I
money out.
lose signal?
You guys can hear me?
I
Oh yes.
can now.
Oh yes, mine.
Okay. Yeah, I just heard of this woman. She took her portfolio of 9 properties together, took it to the bank to get money from it, took that to the bank to purchase basically a whole nother portfolio, then took that portfolio and leveraged that. So everything is a done behind paper trail, and all you have to do is have the right portfolio, and not portfolio meaning right assets, the right numbers, and you be the right person to do it, like your credit profile. And honestly, I believe that anything can happen. Everything
Yeah.
is a paper trail, regardless. Notes on top of notes.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, a lot of that is possible, especially when you're collateralizing assets. You just want to make sure that you have a good credit profile, because the terms of those equity, the credit that you get is going to be based on your credit profile and the asset. But they will.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the right credit profile, you'll only get, let's just say, like 50% loan to value versus being able to get 85% loan to value, right? So you want to be able to get the highest amount of equity from that property as you can, right? So if that property costs $300,000, you want to be able to get minimum $200,000, or maybe 150 to 200,000. Like that would be the best scenario for you. Like you wouldn't want to just be able to walk away with 50K on a $300,000 property, right? Just because your credit isn't in the right situation, right? So that's something you want to make sure of before going into the situation, that your credit profile is at its best possible shape before having those conversations with those people, because they're going to look at that and they're going to tell you, okay, yeah, we can do this for you, but we're only going to give you 50%, versus someone with a clean profile, okay, we're going to give you 85%. So that's one tip I can give you going into that whole process, is just making sure that you have a clean credit profile, and it's not just based on your score, like it's based on your actual profile. So, but yeah, if you have any, like I said, if you take my information, you can reach out to me, and like I said, I'll do some research and I'll talk to some of the lenders that I work with, and see what they say, and then from there I can tell you, okay, this is possible, this is how much you would get, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All
Okay.
right. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, is
So,
that it? Do you have any more questions?
so I was gonna ask my next question, which is, does everyone understand how they can possibly finance property overseas? Type of one in the chat.
Good question. Good question.
Type of two if you don't.
Joy with the questions.
You gotta be direct. I want to make sure everyone, because those are the two things: is one, why you should start putting your attention diversifying outside the U.S., and two, how do you actually go do it? How do you execute? And because if you understand those two things, then it's easy to kind of start redirecting your attention and asking the right questions based off of your situation.
Exactly.
Hey, look, that's even easier. The U.S. Virgin Islands is too easy. That's a VA loan right there. It's even easier. But okay, good, good. Overall, from scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable do you feel purchasing a property overseas at this moment? 1 through 10. 10, you're very comfortable. 1, not comfortable at all.
Got the heavy hitter question. I like these.
3. At least it ain't 1.
At least it ain't one.
6. What's I can do? So citizenship. 10. Hey, Kenny
Yeah.
always ready. He's always ready. He moves fast. All right. Anyone else? We got 11 people on here. Currently at 8. Okay. Okay. Could be a
Nice.
10 based on active duty concerns. Absolutely. I'm gonna look into that. I'm really curious now. Okay, Deanna, 8. Okay.
Nice. Amazing.
All right. I feel good about that. I feel good about it. For those who are at 3s, or lower, or I guess under 6 at this point, it just gonna take comfortability for sure. If you're comfortable in the United States, it's damn near the same process. If you're comfortable buying a property and then leaving it to go move to another state, it's damn near the same process, because you're putting your property in the hands of someone else. When it comes to property management, I think the beauty is that just having trust in the risk that you are taking overall. There's risk in the US and there's risk also outside the US, and you just got to build a system for the risk. What you're
Right.
saying, Michael? I see your lips moving. I don't hear anything.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Yeah, I said there's risk everywhere. There's risk in
Yeah.
every business, every industry, every country. There's always going to be risk.
Hmm.
But the right people who understand those risks, to be able to help you, avoid making those mistakes.
Yeah,
For me,
absolutely.
understanding how to leverage the business credit that was mentioned. So, yeah,
Yeah.
leveraging business credit is
Consultation call.
consultation call. Yeah, it's we could definitely sit through and go through that. It's pretty simple, but definitely, it takes. I think that we could have done a whole entire webinar on business credit. So definitely be able to sit down and have a consultation and talk about that. But what
Mm.
I do want to address is uh, any ones that we have. I think who we have, Lindsay. Um, I just want to,
Lindsay.
yeah, I
Yeah.
want to. I think was that the only one? Yeah, I think that was the only one. Yeah, or
No,
it was.
I think the one was from the last one. The
All
last
right.
the first question is like everybody understands how to pay for it.
Yeah.
She did the one for that.
Okay, but she did a three. So why are you at a three? What can help? What can we do or provide to you that can help that number get higher? And Yasmin, you're saying that you're getting a dual citizenship in what country? And are you planning to invest into that country? And that's why you're
I think it
saying
was
to get a dual
Turks and
citizenship.
Caicos. I think.
Oh,
I
Turks,
think that's what she said yesterday.
amazing. Yeah, Turks is very nice place. You have some friends from Turks and Caicos. Amazing.
Oh, memories on point.
So so yeah, I think. Do you have any more of those questions, Joy?
No, those are honestly my big ones. I want everyone to know I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I just don't believe in gatekeeping, to be honest. You see how quickly we put this together? Like it literally put it together in like a week because I was so excited to share this information of what I've learned. And I think there's no other better time than right now. I will always feel that way about almost everything that I consider an opportunity. So it's a new year. You have, I don't know what day it is, the 7th. So less than 365 days to execute on any of these goals you might have for 2026. And I myself, I want to purchase a property outside the United States. And I would love to, or I plan to showcase my journey this year on how I'm going to do that. And, always be a beacon of hope on how and show you all how to do it as well. So that's my goal to you all. And yeah, so just never gatekeeping and encouraging and empowering each and every one of you.
Right.
Prices info. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you, Kenny.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Um, but yeah, I just appreciate every one of y'all. If y'all do have questions, it's never too late. It's always opportunities, whether you want to hit up Michael directly or hit up me directly. Most of the people in this chat as of right now already know you personally. So it's like, what's up?
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for coming. Thank you guys for your time.